What's up, everybody? How's it going? And welcome to the Car Rant podcast. We don't have a name for this just yet, but we are soft rebooting it here on Car Rant Extra. I have John with us. Today, we are going to be going over every car and vehicle that's been on the channel, whether it's been my car, his car, friends' cars, other members of the channel's cars. It's a lot. John, are you ready for this? So, as I've said many times, there have been a lot of cars on this channel, and as you can tell by this screen right now, there are a ton of vehicles. I believe the grand total is 44, which I'm pretty sure John didn't realize we even had that many on the channel over the years, but
That's a lot of cards, dude.
we're going to start this off with a batched setup, but more importantly, let's look at the tier list. So instead of going through, S, A, B, C, D, E, whatever, we decided to lean into our Fast and Furious love. So we have S tier being family, uh, the A tier being tuna no crust. Shout outs to Paul Walker. The middle tier is we hungry, reference to Too Fast, Too Furious. Too soon, Junior. That's going to be number four. And because it's so stupid, it's funny, Danger Manifold for our bottom tier. So, with that said, John, are you ready?
Yeah, just hit me with one. Let's do it.
All right, we're going to start with your own cars to make this a little bit more entertaining.
From the beginning. Let's do it.
We have the Lancer.
Holy cow, you did find a picture. That's wild.
This is an
Uh,
oldie but a goodie photo from about 5 years ago that he sent me on Facebook, and I don't think he realized I had it this whole time.
I don't remember this picture, no whatsoever. Um, dude, that's the Lancer. That's crazy.
So, out of our tier list, where would you want to put this? I personally, because it's just a very simple and clean and easy daily, I would put this in We Hungry.
I was going back and forth between We Hungry and what's the one after We Hungry?
Too soon, Junior.
Too soon, Junior. I'm bouncing between that because I want to put it in We Hungry because of the way it's treated me. It's been a really good car. It's nothing too crazy though. However,
I mean,
Too
it's a
Soon
very nice
Junior.
Jeep. Yeah.
As of right now, though, it's literally in the shop right now getting its transmission fixed. So, uh, and
I mean,
that car's kind of been nothing but a headache from like the last 6 months. So
it
I'm like kind of been,
happens. It's at
yeah,
that stage of its life. But overall, I feel like putting it in Too Soon, Junior would be actually pretty safe.
yeah. Let's do Too Soon Junior. I like that. That's
All right.
that's that's enough for Kazuto.
Cause I forgot what the name of the car was, to
I
be
got that
honest with
plate.
you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Let's take a look here. The Type R.
Oh man. Okay. So
This is a funny
for
one.
me,
I'm just gonna put it out there and say it. Uh, we kind of forgot about this car a little bit in a lot of ways. I think the Super was just that
oh,
much of a
I didn't.
megalith, and I was like, wait, we need to get the Type R. How did we forget about the Type R? So, yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
It's here.
Honestly, it's in there, and while everyone else forgot about it, I didn't. And everyone that does ask me about the Type R, I always tell them, and I stand by this day. Getting rid of the Type R is my biggest regret in my automotive
Really?
purchasing history. I really love that car, and not that there were not that the cars I bought after the Type R were worse. I love them in different ways, but with the Type R, it was my first like big boy purchase. It was my first performance car, and I had that sucker paid off too. So
Yeah, I forgot
uh,
about that. Yeah,
I'm actually I want to put that in family because that is such a sentimental
I'll allow it
value
because
with me.
I didn't even get to
I
really
still
see this
have
car
the
much.
shift knob that I bought for it.
Do you really? That's so funny.
I still
No,
I bought a shift knob from Billet Works. I still have it, and it's just chilling.
I will agree with putting it in family because this was a car that we all agreed, like, this thing is cool. Like,
Yeah,
it
and
was
it's such a
fast,
good car.
functional, fun, reliable. Like, it ticked so many boxes for us. I'm down with it. Where are you at in this
Yeah,
list? We're gonna slap you in there. There he is. Family. First one in family too. I'm kind of surprised. So Type R is in family for sure.
Type R's in family.
Now, the one that I think we all agreed was going to end up being just a car for the ages, if it'll load. There it goes. Look at that guy.
Dude,
The
holy
Chupra.
cow. The Cupra.
Did you see the title? John Tada's the Chupra 2. Because I had two photos of this. My naming system is a little wacky, so if you see it, just scroll with it.
Yeah, I feel you. You're good. Oh man, this car. You know what's funny is
I kind of want to put it in tuna no crust. Not gonna lie.
I have, I am having like Supra withdrawals. I like starting like last
You
week.
get it now. I
I
told
was,
you I
I
was
was
having Evo withdrawals
so
years back, and you get it now.
I freaking miss that car so, dude. I miss that car so much. Like, okay, okay. In perspective, we just did that video talking about the chase cars and what we want to own in our lifetime.
Yeah,
And
like a month ago.
like a month ago, we talked about like my big two were like the Mercedes GT and the Vantage. And then the other day, I was thinking to myself, actually, it was after you released the video about what is it? So you want to buy a project car? The most recent video you did.
Yeah,
Check it out. Shameless plug. Um,
thanks.
but I after watching that video, I was like, the next car I buy is going to be another Supra.
Wow,
I
what a
really miss
change.
that car. I
What a
really miss that car.
change.
I want to put that in family. Like I really miss that car. Like if the
Yeah.
Type R is my biggest regret, the Supra is like
So are
so
we
it's so much worse right now.
so are we putting the
I
Supra in family and the Type R and tuna no
su-
crust?
let's put the Supra in family just because I know the next car.
Yeah. All right. Well, where's the Supra at? There he is. Right up there in family. We're going to come back to the cars that we have currently a little bit later on. Instead, I'm going to drop us over to Ishmael's cars because I feel like we haven't really talked a
Oh,
lot about his cars. So going back in time, here's hoping it loads. Going back in time, the
oh, dude, this
original
car. Oh
car
yes,
for him on the channel was the 1991, if I remember correctly, Mazda Miata. Yep. John has some stories with this one. Go ahead, bro.
dude. I think. I mean, I've been in multiple rides in this car, and I have a different appreciation for the Miata after being able to ride in it with Ish. And we had some good times in that. I remember I was probably in middle school, and
Yep.
we got hit with a massive snowstorm.
Yep.
And
I knew
I
this was
remember
coming
walking outside, and the only thing you could see from that car was just the little antenna on the back, just
because it
sticking
was
up out of the
tall.
snow. And that has to be my favorite story because me and him were just shoveling that car out, and see that has a lot of memories to it, which I really love.
The
What are
truth
you
is,
thinking?
the truth is, it was a piece of junk. Like we might love this thing, truthfully, but when it comes to like actually good, this is definitely into Sue Jr. or Danger to Manifold because he never, and this is a true statement, the entire year and a half he owned it, he never changed the oil in it. He just kept adding more. Like it was bad. The clutch
That's
pretty much was gone. This was his only car when he first moved here from California. So I think he would also agree that it's definitely in the danger to manifold category because he went from this to the next vehicle on the list, which is his Raptor that he still has. So I think it would be safe to put this in danger to manifold,
that
despite how
I'm
much we
okay with
love
that.
it. It was
Yeah,
a clunker. And keeping in line, I'm actually going to go straight for the truck.
the
This
Raptor.
this is his beauty. Now, this is an old photo. This is from when he lived in the backside of Ashburn. For the eagle-eyed viewer, you might notice the infinity in the background that belonged to a friend of ours. That's how old this video is, or this video. That's how old this photo, excuse me, this photo is. Um, there was a popular clip on our Instagram where we had car wash blasting in the background, and it's like middle of January and we're washing cars. So very fitting for us. He still has this truck. He has done a few upgrades and fixes here and there. Um, Honestly, this is a tuna no crust for me because it's solid. It's an incredibly good daily, but it is starting to show a little bit of its age and pain.
I feel that too. Tuna no crust is I feel like it's acceptable, especially for with respect to Ishmael. This is probably the car he's kept the longest out of God knows how many cars we've had on the channel that are his.
I
So
honestly think for him personally, this is the longest he's owned a vehicle, period. Because he got this after I got in the Evo. I'm pretty sure. I
oh
could be
yeah,
wrong, but I'm
yeah. So
pretty sure.
he's had this truck for a long time.
Yeah.
I think tuna no crust is fully acceptable.
Now this is a car that I know John has some thoughts and feelings about.
Oh
He
man,
might
what do we
not
got?
remember. Oh,
Oh, that's not it.
Ruby.
Ooh,
This was the first 240 to ever be on the channel. This came with a friend, which honestly, the Junk 40 is going to have to go in danger to manifold because it was garbage. But it was a parts car for this car. And this was my first time ever interacting with these things. And I think it's pretty safe to say we were all smitten. I had to drive this from Richmond, Virginia, all the way up to Loudoun County. And the entire time, the exhaust is scraping on the ground. Anytime there's like a small bump, I'm having a corrective alignment done by the chiropractor known as Nissan. It was a time and a half. We ended up letting it go because the guy had slammed it so hard we couldn't fix it. Literally, none of our tools could get under there. We couldn't put it on the jack without worrying about damaging the car. This was properly slammed to the ground. John, what are your thoughts? I think
see,
this would go
I
in We
have some
Hungry.
sentimental value with it because I am the one that named it.
Yep.
Um, I think We Hungry is a safe middle ground.
Yeah. Because it was cool. It was nice. No crack dash, if I remember correctly, but
Yeah, the
it was a
condition of the
little
car
bit of
was
a pile.
honestly, yeah, yeah, it had its issues, and honestly, with technology nowadays, if you guys still had that, quick jacks actually might have been a thing for this, and then you guys could have fixed it, and who knows? But
Oh
uh,
no. It was so low. We couldn't even
you
put
couldn't get on quick
plywood
jacks,
underneath it to try and
nothing.
get it onto a set of quick jacks. It was that
Oh,
bad.
yeah, you can keep that in We Hungry then. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. And because I did say that it was the very next car on the list, um, we have the Junk 40. So there's Ruby
Put
in the broad daylight.
put that sucker in danger to manifold. Get that out
Yeah,
of here.
it was a pile. I will share a quick fun story though. We had actually offered this up for free because we were like, we just need it gone. The church wants it out of here. Just take it. No title, no tags. It's just a shell. Take it. The guy got it, proceeded to leave it in a field submerged partway in mud so it started rusting out. And then it ended up all the way in basically West Virginia, where another guy got it. His name was Tyler Grimm, and he was taking the car apart. We had no idea where the car went. We hadn't seen it in 3.5 years, and we went to a shop out that way, and it was just sitting in the shop, getting taken apart for parts. And Ish and I looked at each other like, "This is this this was our car. How did it end up here?" Long story short, the guy wanted to turn it into a functional car, uh, proceeded to lock the steering wheel and immobilize the car, and that's why it got left in the field, and then someone else picked it up for like $100 or something like that. But yeah, Junk 40, nice sentimental, weird, terrible car.
Yeah, danger to manifold.
I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of cars in Danger and Manifold and a lot of cars in Tuna. I'm just gonna put it out
Yeah,
there.
we're not there. We're not there yet. We're pretty even, but let's see how this goes.
Now for the one car I think we were all expecting to be pretty high up there, Kintsugi. This is a car that I currently see on a daily basis because it's sitting outside with the hood off, trying to get the RB stuff finished on it. We have so many little adventures. I honestly am thinking about making a dedicated playlist here on Car Rant Extra of just Kintsugi videos over the years, just as a way to kind of immortalize it a little bit more. I want to put this in Tuna No Crust because this thing has so much story and so many good parts under it, but also is still a little bit of a piece of junk. No fault to Ish. It's just, it's 240. John, what do you think?
I almost want to put it in We Hungry because of how long the thing hasn't run, um, and how long it's taken to get this car
Some
and
of
this
that's
project going.
some of that's
Um,
on us a little bit as far as the why it's taken so long.
right,
let's
right,
let's
and
just
yeah,
keep that fair.
yeah, and no fault to the car, no fault to you. Obviously, life happens. Um,
But we have
but
so many stories in this thing.
with the stories and also just with the power plant that's in the car, you cannot go wrong with an RB platform.
Once it's
Yeah,
running, yeah. Because there is a
yeah.
small
Once it's
video.
running,
I don't know where it went. A friend of mine, Yilmar, worked on the car, and he actually had it turned over and running. It wasn't running happily, but it was running. So we know that the RB still works. We're probably going to end up taking it out and completely rebuilding it at this point because it's been like 4 years now. But yeah, you call it even with me. We'll call it tuna no crust.
we'll call it tuna no crust.
I'll appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
For this next set of cars, we're going to actually look at Ian's cars before we get into mine, because mine is the largest list on the channel, of course. And I think if Ian, if you watch this, you might hate us for this. Bam. Don't know what's happening here with the gang signs going on, but this is one of my favorite pictures that I ever took of his car. He didn't even know I took this picture until much later. The green 240 that would. This thing. Uh, this is one of the few 240s where I'm like, yeah, I get it now. Um, K Sports went under this thing. We had HKS exhaust in it. The KA, when it was running, was a absolute unit. It just would not die, even when we did the little hot swap thing on there. Uh, Anytime we went places, people knew us for this car. Even though it was his car, they knew us, Car Rent, and also the Lone Sabres Racing Team, our car club, for it. I want to put this into the no crust because this car is still alive and now also has an RB in it. It now lives with Yilmar back in Loudoun County. John, what you say?
I agree with that. It had some bumps along the way, obviously with
You're
the
funny with that
beams
one because bumps. You
some.
remember the blown out shock tower?
Oh yeah, but
Bumps along the way. Very fitting.
lots of bumps along the way. I mean, you had that the beams engine, which like worked for a little bit and then didn't work. Um,
He ended up swapping the chassis, which is why the next vehicle
mhm,
is the swap chassis.
right.
But the beams itself, he had it running. He did a couple runs in it, and it was solid. The beams motor is an incredible platform. It's just not as appreciated as SRs and B16Bs and stuff like that.
Yeah. I 2.0 crust, I believe, is fully acceptable for that car.
I will give an honorable mention and say that when we first met him, he had a Ford, but we didn't really it was in for one episode, right? We didn't really showcase it. It was when we first officially had met outside of the shop. But here we are. This is what he did the body swap for. This is a 240 coupe hatch. Sorry, it's a 240 hatch. This was pre-swap. This is when it had the RB in it before we did the beam swap. I'm going to be honest with you. As nice as a photo as this is, this belongs in danger to manifold. We found out some pretty rough stuff about the chassis that Yomar didn't necessarily know about. And long story short, this thing is rotting in many places. Bondo filler, all this stuff, in a lot of spots, styrofoam, like spray foam. We had no idea. Even Ian, with all of his eagle-eyedness, didn't see it at first until it started to continue to rust away because none of the preventative had been done. This is definitely danger to manifold for me. I don't
Yeah,
think you
I don't know too
disagree.
much about the car. This is, yeah, I to be honest, I think I saw the car one time and it was in the dark, and
It was
so
in the dark,
it was in the
as
dark.
many 240s are seen in the dark.
Yeah, so I will let you fully take that one just because, and
Uh,
this is during the period of time where I'm in Columbus and I'm in Columbus pretty much full time. I only make it down there maybe once a year, so yeah, I'll let you take that one.
for this last one for Ian, it is the Arrowhead body Mighty Max that he had. He had the Plymouth version of it, but it was the same chassis. This was the Hoopty, not the one up front because that's my Mighty Max. We have a different thing for that one. But this guy here in the background with the salad shooters. I personally would put this in Danger in the Manifold as well, but I think we should put it in Too Soon Junior because that thing was really stout and continued to work until a shop messed it up. They had accidentally fried the fuel management system in it, and that's why it stopped working. Otherwise, this thing was really cool. I'm pretty sure that it was much more powerful than mine. To be dead honest with you, I would like to put this in Too Soon Junior. John, did you ever get to see this truck?
I never saw it, so I will let you fully take that as well.
Gotcha.
These are newer cars for me. These are cars I haven't even seen.
Yeah, this was during his
So
hiatus away from us.
yeah, so yeah, I'll let you take it.
All right. For this next section, this is going to be all of my cars. Uh, and I have a lot. I'm going to be the first to admit.
Holy cow!
But we're going to start way back in the beginning when Car Rant first started with Rhonda the Honda. This was a 2000 Civic LX that was super comfortable. John might remember this was the car I took him to school in. John, I personally would put this in We Hungry because this was just really clean. It met a very unfortunate end because of a deer jumping into me on the highway. But what do you say, bro?
I think We Hungry is good. Of it where it's like this is the first car. This is where we actually ranted
This
about stuff and
this was the
didn't actually
beginning.
make other content as well. This was
Yeah.
the beginning, and I think you really didn't do much to it. You did some basic stuff, but like it wasn't anything crazy to like what we're dealing with today and what we have dealt with in previous episodes. But I think just it's the first one. It's the beginning. I think it has to go in there.
The beginning. In the
The
beginning
beginning,
was the Honda.
literally.
All right, next up on the list, we're gonna stick with dailies for a second. And that would be, if it loads, there it goes. Nope, that's not that one. But we can do this one since it popped up anyway. This is Death Wish. This was a very scary moped that I owned. I still have it. It's sitting in my garage right now. This front end actually ended up going underneath the stretch road, which we'll talk about later. 76 miles an hour on this thing, even with my fat self. It's a pretty impressive little scoot. I want to put this in tuna no crust because it's polished, it's nice, it's fast until Ian laid it down. Um, John, what do you say, bro?
I think out of all of your moped projects, besides one, it's probably the cleanest one that you've done. So yeah, I would say yeah, tuna no crust.
Sweet. I'll take it. And for the dailies, getting
This
okay.
was Nick's first adult decision in buying a car.
Wow. I feel shot right now. The RAV4 XLE. Now, full disclosure, I had a love-hate relationship with this car. I liked it a lot because it was a fantastic daily, great for long distance driving, but it felt really unsafe most of the time. There were a few turns in my area where I would take the turn and it felt like it was going to either slide or pitch over. Like it was really odd how it felt that way, but I did love this engine. I loved how easy it was to take care of. But I think I should have stuck with the LE where it was just front wheel drive because then I think it would have had a little better traction. John, what are your thoughts?
I actually really like this car. My folks just bought a brand new 2025 RAV4 XLE.
News to me.
Um,
I had no
yeah,
idea.
they Jim traded that Prius in, and yeah, they bought a, brand new XLE. But in terms of this one though, I feel like you gotta give it some credit because this was honestly out of all the daily drivers, it's probably the most practical daily driver. Um,
One of three I can think
what?
of that were in that
Yeah,
category.
it's one of the most practical daily drivers that has been on the channel, and it kind of lives up to what a daily driver kind of should be, especially if you have other project cars.
Yeah.
Honestly, the middle tier for me, I feel like dead
Hungry.
center, hungry.
Yeah. I mean, I could have done some crazy stuff with it because Toyota's support for their vehicles is incredible, but I think we hungry is a safe spot. Next up on my list, speaking of the dailies, this is a car that I honestly probably would have kept had things gone a little differently. The Outlander. I, and John knows this, I loved this thing. I'm not a fan of some of the stupid stuff that can happen with these things if you get into a wreck, for example. And I really wasn't a fan of the car payment that I had at north of $700 a month every month. But I love this thing to the level of I'm considering getting the partially hybrid electric version of this in the near future as a replacement for a daily driver. John, your thoughts?
I like this vehicle a lot, and I actually never really sat in one until you bought it. And once I sat inside, I saw Nissan written all over it, just because of
Yeah,
all the merger, not the merger, but they all own each other in some way, shape, or form. But I don't know because I would feel like I would take the RAV4 personally as a daily over the Mitsubishi, just because of there's a lot more support for Toyotas out there than there is. You can easily get things from a Toyota dealership than a Mitsubishi dealership. Those are really hard to find nowadays.
I
Um,
live near
but
one, so I have that for a cheat code.
you have that an advantage. I think the closest one to me is like half an hour. But I would probably put it in We Hungry as well. Middle of the road. It's a good daily driver to own, even from a consumer perspective. So yeah,
I'll accept it. I really liked it. I liked it more than the RAV4 just because the driving experience was great. Um, Fuel economy was actually better, believe it or not, despite still being all-wheel drive. And even though Merlin was sad because Merlin, I got my dog in the RAV4. Um, Merlin really did enjoy the Outlander, except for the fact that he couldn't stick his head out the window because the door sills sit higher to protect the passengers more. I thought it was kind of funny. I didn't realize it until I had looked at it again. So he would probably put this in danger to manifold as a result of that. Um, for another car on my list, since we're just knocking out the SUVs, the Pajero. This is family for me, baby.
you got to put that in family.
Absolute unit. I love this thing. I have had cash offers for it many times because people are like, yo, that thing's so cool. And in the snow, it's a monster. I even had a small fender bender. I'm just gonna put it out there inside of this thing. Gas station didn't properly salt or treat, and I slid straight into one of the poles that protects the pumps. Not a single scratch on the truck. Took it no problem. I just had to bend the crash bar back out, and we were right as rain. No issues whatsoever, even though it was 4,500 pounds sliding into a pole. Thing is a unit. Fantastic daily. Needs better fuel economy. I wish we would get the Japanese only Pajero Sports because it's basically that, but with the new body style. All right. Next on the roster, another Honda, and I know this is one that John has mixed feelings about. This is the Jalapeno Midori.
This
John,
car, dude. Um,
this has to go in danger to manifold because we
a hundred,
literally lost the manifold on the highway.
100%, dude.
It was such a cool car, though. I loved it, even though it was an absolute piece of trash.
This is one of the cars where I genuinely did not feel safe in whenever I rode in it.
Ouch.
Um, no, obviously not. Obviously, that's not a
It's
hit
a
to
true
you, but it's
statement.
just, but it's such a true
It
statement,
literally
dude.
came
It's
apart 3 times with John in the car. It's a true statement. And then the funny thing though is that we did in fact beat someone in a race on the highway with Ian in the passenger seat, who was like 320 or something like that, and then an engine in the trunk with only 3 cylinders working. He was a tough little dude. Oh, that's funny. In the same vein of older dailies, Mitsu-chan. I'll let you go first.
I would put this tuna no crust, to be honest with you.
Really?
Um,
Wow. You would put this
and
above your own Lancer.
I put this above my own Lancer only
Wow.
because I feel like just the honestly, to me, it kind of has more sentimental value to me because this is like the second car that you owned.
Yep,
This is what I remember more being picked up from school in.
that's true.
Um, I got picked up in Honda a couple of times, but most of the time it was in Mitsuchan, and
The accidental
um,
burnouts because of the stupid hill.
the accidental burnouts. I remember I cut my hand on the seat because I was a middle schooler who didn't like
Oh
to listen,
yeah,
and the
I
seat
remember
broke.
that.
The seat broke when I tried to move it forward. I cut my hand open.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I bled on that car. Yeah, that's definitely going in tuna no crust.
I honestly didn't expect to get that high, but you know what? I'll take it. For those wondering, it got sold to a family at my church, and then ended up getting sold back to me to then sell to Ian, who in turn hit not one, not two, but 3 deer in it, and it never set off the airbags. It just tanked it. No problems, no structural issues. It's now in upstate New York doing dirt racing with over 270,000 miles on the original engine still. The thing, absolute unit. Kind of wanted to get another one, but I can't find them in this good a shape. I got this at 54,000 miles and I put 100,000 miles on it by myself. It was a amazing car. Despite being a cheap car, it was a great car.
Yeah, it was a good car.
Speaking of cheap Mitsubishis, this is one that I know John has a lot of thoughts about.
Oh
Shiro.
no. Oh, this dude. I'm not gonna get into the nitty and gritty of it, but this was a project that was supposed to be my car when I got my license.
Yep.
Obviously, from the first car in the video, that did not happen. But um, dude, I really like this car. I never got to drive it because I was a kid in middle school, didn't have my license or anything like that.
No, you were in high school at
Um,
this point.
was I in high school at this point?
Yeah, this was high school for you because that was the
Yeah.
whole reason you got it.
Yeah. That was like
He was
freshman year,
supposed
I
to
think.
graduate with a certain GPA, and I was going to give him a project car.
Yeah.
And he did. Let's just say some stuff happened in the background the family wasn't happy about, so we ended up having to let it go. It ended up getting stolen, and every owner after us seemed to have been cursed because they all had hardships hit them until they got rid of the car. Almost
Honestly,
like divine justice for what happened to us with this poor car.
yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't put it in danger in a manifold, but I'd put it one above that. I'd
I
probably
would
say,
put it in Too Soon Junior.
yeah, too
Even
soon,
though
junior.
it's
I
got a
think
lot
is
of
fine.
sentimental value to me, this is a Too Soon Junior for me too. So next car on the list, I am intentionally avoiding certain ones right now. I'm gonna queue a couple of these up. Let's talk about the Lexus.
I love
This,
this car.
it's funny. Everybody loved this car. I just hated the transmission. That was really the only thing I didn't like. That and the fact that the Tanes that were in it were just garbage. Um, I personally want to put this in We Hungry. What about you?
I
It's
really
very
like
early
the car.
thousands.
It's very early thousands. I love the car. You ran over my foot with this car. I remember that. Um,
Forgot.
and and dude, props to whatever dress shoes I was wearing. I did not. I not
He
nothing
tanked it.
broke. I tanked it. But I'm okay with putting it in We Hungry. I think I like it better than some of the other projects.
It was a
I
lot more
do remember
polished.
it was a cleaner, it was just a cleaner car all around.
Yeah.
I think that's why I liked it so much. But yeah, I think We Hungry is a good middle.
Kind of surprised at how many have ended up in We Hungry at this point. because there's
Yeah,
quite a few.
I think this is going to be closer than I think any of us were thinking.
I guess.
Obviously, family and all that stuff. Like, obviously, that's going to be probably the least amount of cars, uh, but yeah.
And with that in mind, here we go. The Forester, or as we nicknamed it, the Florister, because we slammed it. I have a love-hate relationship with this car. I personally would put it in Too Soon Junior, maybe lower than that. But we had big plans to basically make it into a Forester SDI. And while the vehicle itself was really clean, no rust, stuff like that, there was just so many issues that we had to deal with things happening around us and how expensive Subaru stuff is. This is probably my one and only foray into the Subaru world, personally. I did like it a lot once we had it slammed. I think, John, you can agree the slammed look was really dope. Um, but yeah, I think this is a too soon junior for me. Maybe even Danger to Manifold. What say you, John?
Um, this is a really good example of uh, oh, what is it? Planned out well, and the execution was there, and the car just didn't want to cooperate in some cases.
Yeah.
Um,
And the amount of work
and
just to change the harness out was crazy.
this car, honestly, for me, shows it really proves the fact that cars do have a mind of their own. Um, because you can do everything right and something will still go wrong. I would put it danger to manifold because the thing wasn't like it wasn't a piece of junk. It wasn't like with respect, it wasn't like jalapeno where the thing was like rattling at the seams and you just didn't know if a door was going to fall off. You know,
Yeah.
it was a good car. Just things just weren't happening with it. I'm okay with putting danger to manifold or not danger to manifold.
Too soon
The
junior.
too soon junior. Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right. I'll
yeah,
take that.
yeah.
That means that this POJ is in the same class and category as Shiro. Oh, that hurts. All right. For the next one, we have a favorite on this channel.
Oh, I love this car, dude.
The Killionaire Slam to the Ground Laurel. I have a love hate, more hate than love for this car.
I took
This
that
was,
picture.
you did. This was a car that I wanted to have fun with, wanted to have a good time with, and hated every second of it because of the way it was set up.
I think this is going to be the first car where we have major disagreements because I absolutely love
He
this
loved
thing.
it because he got to go drifting in it with someone who knew how to drive it. The first time I drove it, I almost killed me and my buddy Devin in it because we went flying into a curb. Because as you can see here, there's no bumper on it. The bumper got sucked underneath the car and completely took my steering out. So yeah, I had a love hate for this car.
Yeah,
It was
and
cool though.
what's funny is this car is now actually in my neck of the woods in Lancaster, Ohio, and
Yeah, like an hour away or something like that.
yeah,
Really not that
I
far.
actually I keep tabs on it on Instagram. I follow their page.
Colton. Yeah.
I haven't seen them at many events, but I've seen a couple of their other projects at some events, and
He's done fantastic work with the car. I can't
yeah,
say that because
the
he's kept
car
me abreast on it.
yeah the car runs very well from what I know about it.
It's now got an RB26. Like it's supercharged compared to
Yeah,
what this thing was.
they absolutely they did really good work on it.
This was
I
also,
feel like
I will put this
uh,
out there. This is the car that Ian and Yilmar both were begging to trade me for. And in a lot of ways, if I wasn't in financial distress at the time, I would have totally done it.
yeah,
Just so they could just go ahead. You can have it. I'll take whatever you throw at me. You can have it. Yilmar was
right.
getting ready to take out like five, six different loans to get his hands on it.
Yeah, yeah, I got to move it a couple of times too, and that three putt clutch is no joke. But I would I want to put it in. Honestly, I don't think I would put it as high because of the amount of issues that I did have. As much as I love the car and
I'd be okay with We Hungry.
and the coolness factor of the car doesn't do the issues that it had justice to put it higher than We Hungry. I would put it in We Hungry. I think it's just a good middle ground because it had its issues. It was a really crappy car in some cases, and in other cases, it was a really cool build. It was a really cool car,
It's a rare car
and
being a
so
C33 as well.
and it's a rare car. So I would say, yeah, middle of the road, we hungry. That I feel like that's appropriate.
All right. For something that I have been holding off on putting out there for a minute, let's take a look at the Celica. This,
I forgot you had this car.
because I literally only owned it for a month. It literally was, hey, we got a Celica, and hey, I got rid of the Celica and got the car that'll come up next. Uh, you'll notice those wheels look really familiar, and it's because they were the wheels from the Florister. We swapped them onto this, so I'd have nice brand new treads to just make review videos with. I loved this car. It was a lot of fun, but it had a lot of issues still. It was a mechanics car, so like if you know anything about mechanic cars, they are typically kind of put together, like functional but not put together. So for me, this is gonna have to be a too soon junior. It might even be danger to manifold because the guy that bought this from me flipped it a month or two later for a couple grand more. I don't really know. John, I don't think you even got to see this car.
I never saw it in person. You sent me photos. You told me about it when you got it. But I agree with you in putting it into Too Soon Junior. Just because anytime we did talk about the car over the phone or video, playing video games,
It was
I
problematic all the time.
it was there was always you always had something to complain about with that car, and so I feel
Ouch.
like it's only acceptable to put it in there.
We're now on the last row. Oh
Yes,
boy. All right. And the next thing on my list, my beloved stretch row.
I love this car or this bike or whatever the frick
This scooter,
the
this
scooter.
thing,
Yes, I
I
really
love
like
this
this.
thing. I think everyone, like as a whole, everyone loves this thing. Whether you're related to the channel or you just see it on the road, everyone just thinks this thing is cool and loves it. And yeah, I want to put this in family. I'm not gonna lie. It's the
Do
most
it.
put together build. It's like a $4,500 build at this point for a scooter. It's kind of a lot. And this is in one of its better stages. This was 2.0. 3.0 had the complete set of wheels and a little bit longer of a stretch. Yeah, this is a
Yeah,
family for me.
I agree. Where the when I think of mopeds or scooters, especially something that looks like the sticker bomb one did, I think of a chill ride, easy to operate, easy to function.
I mean, we
The
had
de-
fun on that backstretch all the time.
the the Death Wish bike, where
It was
that one is
scary,
different, is super aggressive, super scary.
very intense.
You got on that thing every single day, making sure your will was up to date, and um,
That's very accurate.
And with this bike, it was just chill. It was just super. It was
Yeah.
just it was calm. I've ridden on it multiple times. I love
Oh
that
yeah.
thing. And it still got up there, and it was still a fun thing. So yeah, family,
I'll put it
hundred
out there
percent.
too. Even Ishmael wants one of these. Like he likes the style, the ruckus better. But he wrote and he's like, dude, so we're gonna make one of these for me, right? And I was like, you got the money? Because I'm down. I love this. I know how to
Yeah,
take this whole thing apart and put it back together.
yeah.
In the
That might be a
same vein,
business right there.
honestly, there are people that do it as a business. In the same vein, we have the Little Red. This straight up did not work. And it has been taken apart. It's literally just that front half now. I will put this in danger to manifold myself because Little Red straight up is a non-functional vehicle.
I feel like I've seen it a couple of times in person. I never
It
rode it because it never worked.
You've seen it
So I
because it's
agree.
been hiding in the back of the shop.
Yeah,
Um, and then because I knew that that was going to be a very fast, easy one. I love my truck dearly, and we were going to put a V8 in it. But if you saw my video, you already know we are actually going to be letting this go due to my life changes. The engine that was in this could not be killed no matter what we did. Straight up, this thing was super comfortable. It was super tanky. It did a lot of work. It might have only been a 1 ton or half ton, whatever they call this thing, the base model. It definitely performed outside of its class. And honestly, it was just fun to just tank around in. It was one of those low power, but you could just push it as hard as you wanted to situations. John, you got to drive this. What are your thoughts?
um, I'll put it to you like this. I've driven manual transmissions, everything from my Lancer all the way up to I got the opportunity to drive a a manual 992 GT3 from Porsche yesterday. Um, I've driven every manual transmission that I can think of, and this I will give this truck credit as the one manual transmission that I cannot drive. Um,
It's very field driven, and that's, I
I
think,
have
what screwed him up.
I have driven so many cars that are manual. Everything, some of the hardest clutches, the double oral with the three puck. Um, I could drive that, but I couldn't drive this truck, and I feel like just for that, you got me. Honestly, tuna no crust. Not gonna lie.
Really? Wow, I didn't think you were
It
gonna put it that high. I thought I was gonna end up
maybe
way hungry.
this was the truck that humbled me so hard on my ability to drive stick.
All right, we'll put it in tuna no crust. Wow, I didn't think it was gonna be that high. Oh man. Here's our current spread as to where we're at so far. We're saving a couple of very specific vehicles for the end. We are kind of surprised at how close a lot of these really are. But now we're going to move into friends of the channel and guests that have been on our channel. I'm going to start off with a real strong contender, one that I think all of us here at Current would agree is one of the dopest cars we ever interacted with, and that is Foxy. This is a
Ooh,
three valve, 5 liter Mustang that made over 1,000 horsepower when it was done. It went viral on Jimbo's channel because Jimbo's channel literally did a video with this with our friend Boosted Bill driving it. I know Boosted Bill was heartbroken to let it go, but there was so much stuff that happened with this car. Go check out his channel to hear all of the story details. Long story short, lawsuits were involved, and he ended up just selling it because he was getting married and having kids. Um, Ishmael was floored by how powerful it is to the level of his mic broke while filming his experience getting a ride along with Bill in the early days of the channel. This is the most powerful car that has ever been on Car Rant, hands down, aside from maybe the Evo. And that's after the Evo had tons more work done to get to that point. John, your thoughts? You were still
I've
here
seen
when
it.
this happened.
Yeah, I've seen it. I never got to ride in it. But I it's such a cool car. And I don't like American cars at all. If you know me, I don't like American vehicles. I don't
It's
like
pretty true.
domestics. Um, give or take a couple of things, but this car really made me have an appreciation for the American V8. And I think you got to put that in family, dude.
Really? Listen, I'm okay with putting family because it was basically Foxy and the Evo were like a dynamic duo at car shows. And people knew me and Bill because we were YouTubers. We would go together and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Next up, this one's closer to home for John because it's a little bit more up his alley, per se. We're going to go with Nick
Ah,
Hopper's number 13.
yes.
Uh,
Um,
this is Car Cigar staple. It is now living in Florida. He actually just moved to Florida like 2 weeks ago. This was our dad's favorite car growing up. He loves the old Fords and Shelbys and whatnot. I kind of want to put this in Tuna No Crust, not quite family because it's still really cool, but it's not a true Shelby. It's a factory five, if I remember correctly. John.
yeah, I think Tuna No Crust is a I think it's a good place for the car. His daughter actually attended the school that I went
Oh,
to.
that's right. I forgot
So
about
I
that.
I actually I remember seeing this car pull up multiple times, and then once I got older and I actually moved to Ohio, came back, and I met him. I was like, oh, holy cow, small world!
You're
This is
that
your
guy.
car. You're that guy. So really cool story there. But yeah, I agree. Tuna no crust for that would be good. Unlike Boosted Bill's car, we had a really strong connection with Boosted Bill. I know you did.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Nick's a great guy, but I just think, yeah, for sure.
Riffs, Ranger Riff, and his Hawkeye Subaru.
So
This was my
this
first
thing is
experience with a super fast 4 cylinder engine. Go ahead, John. This is your house right here.
So I actually know where this car is. I know who owns it. I've actually seen it multiple times. So he had sold the car to another friend of ours who goes to a different church. His name's Dylan. Um, he now owns the car. It's making the same power and everything. He didn't change.
700, I believe, on
It was
ethanol.
650.
650.
Um,
Okay.
but still, that's ridiculous.
Crazy
He didn't.
fast for a
Yeah, he
homemade
hasn't
car
changed
too.
anything. It's
This
it's a
is
great car.
this is not a shop built thing. He made this himself. And
Yeah,
that's what makes it like, whoa. So,
yeah, yeah. So I mean, the car still runs. It's still great. I'll see it every once in a while at meets and shows and whatnot.
you have to catch
And
up with him sometime. Do like a dedicated video of that.
yeah, Dylan's a great guy too. And I'm glad the car went to him. He has such a respect for cars and for what this thing is.
He treats this
Um,
thing like it's God's gift to mankind.
yeah, he loves this thing, and I know he has some plans in the future to get some stuff restored and whatnot. So I really hope that comes through. But I think this is a Tuno no crust car.
I can agree with that. I can agree with
Yeah,
that. We had one or two episodes with this thing, and that was it. But I can agree with that. Tuna no crust,
yeah.
amazing, amazing feat of engineering on his part. But yeah, for cars that are blue, we will keep this going with the GTSR. I
Oh, this
love
thing.
this thing, and I
Oh
knew
my
John.
God, dude.
Yeah. So, fun fact, this was actually what we did our intros and outros with for a long time because it was cool. Two-step, bro. Had launch control. And I actually almost got to buy this. This would have been the Laurel before the Laurel because this was a R32. It had a lot of GTR parts in it, but it was a GTST. It was built by a shop there in Japan called Defend, Garage Defend. Didn't make a ton of power. It was just a lot of fun. John.
Dude, this thing. I remember this is what made me fall in love with the R32. That and the what is it? Initial D, the black
Yes.
GTR.
Yep.
Um, that the show and this car both really got me into the GTR. Um, and seeing it now, I forgot about this car.
I knew you
And
would.
seeing it now, I was like, how can I forget? Like this thing was so awesome. It was crazy. Um, to know no crust.
Yeah, without question. It
Yeah,
was a large part of our channel indirectly for such a long time.
yeah,
We have to put it into the no cross because it's really good. It's just not. If I had bought it, this probably would have ended up in family because we would have done so much stuff with this, or
yeah.
or gone to jail.
Either one. Yeah,
For another blue car. This is our friend Turncoat, as we nicknamed himself online. This was Chris Tavares, aka Audi guy. We don't have a picture of his Audi. We could have thrown it in there as an honorable mention, and if we did, it would have gone in Too Soon Jr. because it was just a basic daily, nothing done to it. But this was his pride and joy R32 until it tried to kill him because the Widowmaker Jack did what Widowmaker Jacks do and broke with him under it, and he was able to get out in time. He's okay. Love you out there in Utah. I hope all's going well because we haven't caught up in a little bit. I would put this in We Hungry. This thing was fast for an NA V6, but there really wasn't a lot that he was doing with it. I think he may have got APR2 on this, but that's about it. John?
yeah. I don't. Yeah, we hungry. I think is totally fair for this car. I got to ride in it one time, and I love the thing. I mean, the what is it? The VR6 is
Yeah,
what's
that
underneath the hood.
responsiveness in that thing is crazy.
It's one of the torquiest NA cars I've been in.
Yeah, it
And
hits
I
instantly.
yeah, the R32s are ridiculous. I wish they would bring it back instead of using the Golf R and just using an S3 engine. But that's a different story. But yeah, we hungry.
For more of the blue cars, we have our friend's S14. Uh, this thing
Oh,
is
this takes me back.
gorgeous, and
This is nice.
the OZs that he's got are worth like $4,000 or $5,000. This is what a perfect example of a super sport variation of a car should look like. It's tuned up nicely, fantastic suspension, brand new parts in a lot of places, but it kept the original engine. They built it up to make a little bit more power. It is polished clean. This is how you do it. Like this was goals for a street car.
Yeah, I actually forgot about this car too, and but dude, this thing is
Gorgeous.
mm, mwah,
It's so
chef's kiss.
gorgeous. This
It's
is
done so well. It's so clean. And yeah, with the original engine, uh,
this is
Tuna
tuna
no
no crust.
Tuna no crust. Now Tuna no crust is going to
It's
start
gonna be the
pulling
big
away. I
boy.
feel like,
Yeah,
yeah,
because clearly we hungry and tuna are
it's
like
such a good
holding
car.
it down. And for yet again another blue car, now blue, we have Nozomi. This was our friend Cameron's midnight purple wrapped, but sort of blue colored at the same time. FA Subaru WRX that made about 400 horsepower and torque. I think you actually went for a couple of rides in this there, John.
I've never ridden in it from
Really?
what I remember. Yeah, I don't remember riding in it.
Now it used to be
Um,
silver.
I do remember it being silver,
Okay.
and I remember he had done the translucent colored wrap on it.
Yep.
Um, which I also remember taking that picture. Um,
Yep. This is one of
but
his.
yeah, this car, I would probably put it with Chris's in We
And we
Hungry.
hungry. I can agree with
Yeah,
that. It's an
yeah.
FA. It's really fun. I got to drive it, teach him how to better shift and whatnot, and it hustles. When you get into peak power, it moves. Yeah, I don't know if he ever got the clutch fixed in it though. I'll have to check in on him again. But yeah, we are winding it down. Now, I will say Nosami's in here twice because I accidentally ported over a silver picture of it. So I'm going to also just, to get it out of our list, throw it back up here. Off camera, because I messed up, forgot to hit the record button. We had a small hiatus and a drink break, but we reviewed our friend Josh's Nismo Z. We have put it in Too Soon Junior because it was nice, but it could have had a lot more done. It was just kind of is there, but it wasn't there, if you know what I'm saying. I just also realized I had the wrong photo. I thought this was his car, and it was not, so I have to go find the right one. But moving on to another one of our friend Josh Hippel's cars, we have him big goofing understeering hard. John, I believe this is your photo from Drift Nirvana when he didn't have the sway bar put into his 1JZ swapped.
I actually didn't take that.
You didn't take this one? Okay.
Mm-mm.
I
The
thought
only
this was
photo
you.
I have is it's a rear end shot of his car going sideways.
Got it.
Some of my best shots actually came from that to this day. Um,
It was a good event
but
for it too, because the sun was out. It was great.
yeah, it was a fun time. And this for me, I absolutely love this car because I actually got to sit shotgun with him and I got to
You
actually
did a
go
ride along.
around. I did a ride along with him on
Yeah.
it. And we actually spun out turn one and that was my first encounter with like spinning out in grass and stuff like that. But
Yep.
it was a fun time. It was a fun car. Um,
It put in work.
it put in work, and honestly, with the build it was too, it was a very unique car as well. Probably We Hungry, I'd say.
I think I can agree with We Hungry. Getting into some of my neighbors' cars, because I think John knew that we were going to get there eventually. I have the Volkswagen Jetta.
Now this is my picture.
This is definitely one of John's
This is
photos.
definitely one of my photos.
I
Um,
I have a love hate with this thing. Um, I love it a lot because it's aesthetically it is what you expect from the slammed and stance community. This was one of those like very much gold standard kind of builds. Even though underneath it's just a Jetta. There's nothing special about it. It's just a Jetta. He just made it nice, did it right, everything else. John, I think did you go for a ride in this thing?
I actually never got to ride in it.
This one you didn't ride in. Okay.
No, I didn't ride in it. The only one of his cars I think I rode in was the Laurel. Um, and but in terms of this car, I would say it's just such a cool car aesthetically. It's
It
such a
is.
show car. It is really only meant to be a show car. I feel like.
It is.
Um, the wheels are great. I love the wide body. In terms of a show car, it's probably one of the best looking cars we've had on the channel, I feel like.
It's
Um,
fairly agreeable. I can think of one other car, and that's coming up in this list. But
I'm gonna. I feel like I feel like we put it in We Hungry though because this
really,
really this isn't one that compared to his other cars, this is not one that also makes me like
I mean,
drop my jaw. You know what I'm saying? Like
he got famous off of this car.
this is true. I agree.
I
That
would
is
put this in
true.
tuna no crust personally. Do you still
Let's.
want to put it in hungry, or do you want to put it in
I
tuna?
I'll give it to you. Yeah, we'll do
Ah,
tuna no crust.
we'll put it like this. It's in tuna no crust, but it's like uh, if tuna no crust
It's
had a split category, it would be in the lower of the two.
it's
I'll put
like
it that
tuna no
way.
crust with just a little bit of crust.
Exactly. The air suspension on this thing too, notorious for having issues, but it was really nice.
Yeah.
So, all right, the first properly like evergreen car on this list too.
Right.
Like Ian's car is green as well, but like his was green, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
His is a true green color.
For another car of his that was also green, I have a couple stories about it. This is one of mine, I think.
That's 20 years for sure.
Um, Especially because of all the little cherry blossoms all over the back of it. This is his S15. Our friend Brad had this. The color actually is an American color, which I didn't know that. This is the Challenger Green from Dodge.
Okay, that's cool.
The exhaust is incredible. The downturns, the high cuts in it are great. Of course, being a BBS whore that he was, uh, they're set up beautifully. I actually helped him fix this car a few times, and I really wish I could have bought it from him, but unfortunately did not get the chance. This car I actually got to drive, and it's stance thing, not for me, but I understand all the people who are absolute S15 stands. This thing was fantastic in the hands. Like you just felt in control. It was really nice.
I think this was a this is a top car for me. I mean, it's not.
Really.
I don't think it's not, in terms of top car. I mean, like it's one of my more favorite ones that we've had on the channel.
That's true.
Um, I never got to ride it, never got to drive it, never got to. I've only looked at it
I was gonna
and
say you definitely got
briefly.
to touch it, if I
I got
remember
to touch it, yeah, but I never. That's about as close as I got to it. I
Yeah.
really never got to see this car that much. Um,
He drove the fire out
but
of this. I will say that.
I every time I did see it though, I was like, I absolutely love this car. I would probably put
This
it.
is tuna no crust for sure.
This is tuna no crust. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
without question. Tuna no crust. Because, yeah. Again,
Because
I knew this was gonna happen.
we just know what's coming next though. Like that's in my brain. I'm like, I know what's next. I know
Yeah.
what we're missing,
And
and
of
I know that
course,
it's so good.
to round off the cars from our friend Brad, we have to, without question, bring up. Here, I'll zoom in for John, because this is one of my photos.
Oh yeah,
The R34 GTS.
this thing was
Or
so
GTT.
cool. GTT.
I want to buy this off of him so badly. The body
Does he
kit
still have
is
it?
yours. He does. It is one of the only cars in the country with this body kit. The wheels, I would have put mine on instead of these ones, if I still had them, that is. I got to go for riding this thing, and it felt like the Evo, even though it was rear-wheel drive. Lot of fun, beautiful car, well set up, in my opinion. I got to help him put the body kit on and get it measured. Was there for all the paint work. Like this thing is a favorite of mine. I personally, I'm gonna put it out there, would put this in family.
Yeah, this thing is absolutely crazy. I've only seen, I mean, now that 34s are legal in the States, I've been seeing a couple more of them around.
Yeah,
And this is still by far probably a top three cleanest R34s that I've seen. I
I
know
can agree.
we have a technician at the Rolls Royce dealership, and he has an R34 GTR. He has a V Spec too. Like he spent some money on that car, and that thing was crazy. But in terms of this particular car, I have to give it to family. It's probably one of the rarest cars we've had on the channel.
And it's
Um,
stupidly clean
and
and well put
it's
together.
also one of the cleanest cars we've had on the channel. I
Yeah,
think it deserves family.
absolutely. It would be in the family if I had like lottery money. It's like that saying, you won't know if I ever make the lottery, but there'll be signs.
We
This
will. We'll
this
know.
would be the sign.
We'll know.
To follow up with another very close friend of ours, I'm going to pull it up for our boy, uh, the Bone Hunter Harley. John, you may or may not
I
remember this bike.
remember this.
This thing was, I don't remember all the details, whether it's a knucklehead or anything like that, but this was our friend Will Owings' pride and joy. He ended up doing a lot of work on it, getting repainted, all the stuff. It was loud, and that was kind of the point. I specifically remember he shut down a rev battle at a car meet by just turning the bike on. Everyone's like, okay, we're not going to try to compete with that.
Yeah, yeah.
John,
That thing. I feel like that thing's blown out my eardrums a few times.
for sure, for
I
sure.
I'm not a humongous bike person, but I have a lot of respect for this bike because of
It's very sentimental for us.
yeah, and I know he put a ton of work into it, and I've mad respect for people that really put the time and effort in to make something their own. Um, I'm not sure where to put it though. I'm
I
kind
I
of
would put this on We Hungry because it's
I
not as
was
polished, but it's
that's what I
really
was
nice.
thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We Hungry is a good middle ground for that.
Yeah, the Bone Hunter is just a great example of a great car. Just or a great car, great bike. Being like, this is a grassroots thing that I started from zero with. Yeah, for sure. So technically speaking, We Hungry is now tied with Tuna No Crust, and the differences between the two categories is really becoming apparent now.
Yeah,
For another one of our dear friends that is close by to all of us, Yilmar's Mazda RX-7. This thing was fast. It's fun. The KBD body kit does its job. I'll put it that way. And this is very much Yilmar's personality of just we make it work. This for me is definitely a we hungry because I know that he really had some bigger plans. He wanted to put a LS1 in this thing and make it rip, but it was still the two rotor from Mazda. John, did you ever actually get to interact with this car? I think you may have heard him or seen him in a couple of videos with it, but I don't think you ever actually got to mess with this car.
I don't even remember meeting Yilmar to be honest with you.
He's a quiet
like
guy, so I
like
could see why you would not remember him per se because he doesn't exactly try to stand out.
yeah, maybe I've said what's up to him a couple of times, but I don't. I've never seen the car in person. I've seen it in videos. I've heard
Yeah,
it in videos, and
thing
um,
rips. I can
the
say that much.
the what is this? This is an FC, isn't it?
Yep.
The FC RX-7 was also a car I was considering on
Run
getting when I was
and in the 90s.
literally. I mean, that dude
Da,
was one of
da,
my
da, da,
favorite
da, da,
characters in.
da. Yeah,
That dude was one of my favorite characters in Initial D. Um,
Ryosuke.
Ryosuke Takahashi.
Yep.
And I see. I don't know too much about this though because I'll leave this one to you because I really haven't interacted with this car that much.
This is the We
Um,
Hungry, but it could
are we
almost
hungry?
be in Tuna No Crust. That's
Gotcha.
where I put it because it was a good car, but it just wasn't as polished as it could have been. I think putting this in We Hungry,
I feel
yeah,
like that's acceptable. Yeah, I
yeah,
feel like the we hungry category is like it runs really good, but it's just like
not quite there.
it's not there yet though in every other aspect.
Now,
Um,
put it out there. We are moving on to the final three. These are cars that have a lot of sentimental value to us, and I have a feeling they're all going to end up in the same category, but we'll find out. So, to start off our final three, we're going to go with the most recent addition to the family, John's C43. I have yet to see this car in person, but I have a love for these things. They are clean, they are prestigious, they have a lot of class to them, and I think this is probably, for me anyway, this is not where I saw John going growing up with all the crazy rice boxes that we had before. This is probably the nicest car we've ever had on the channel. For me, this is a absolutely tuna no crust because I know that he's going to take this car places that we have yet to see, given that there are things that are not present in this photo that are on the way. John, do you agree with my decision?
I do. This is a car for me that um, this car was bought out of kind of
Desperation.
it was bought out of desperation. The Lancer was down. The Supra had a blown turbo.
Yep.
Um, and it was one of those things where it's like I needed a car, but I didn't want to rush into it just yet because I knew whatever I was going to buy was going to be a daily driver for me, but I wanted to still build it to be like a fun dailyable build that was still fast, still had
Yeah.
performance, but I wanted something that was nicer. And the industry I work in and whatnot, I definitely work in an industry where we deal with highline customers, luxury vehicles, and so I've been around that a lot now.
Yeah.
And so my not that my love for JDM cars has diminished, but my love for the European car community, luxury, highline exotics, all that kind of stuff has grown significantly. And not to a degree of like your typical TikToker, but to the degree where there's truly, I truly have a new understanding and a new perspective and a new respect and appreciation for what these cars are.
I mean,
And
they're
so
powerful. Like,
and they're
no
extremely powerful.
slouches.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
usually horsepower numbers on a German vehicle are typically never accurate. They typically make more power than what's on paper, and I
Yeah.
can say that with the Supra. But I'm excited for what's to come with this. Um, I have sentimental value for it, but it's not to the degree that I had with the Supra or with the Type R. Not yet. But I'm really excited to see where this goes. I agree. It's a tuna no crust car. Maybe if we do this video next year or a couple years from now or whatever,
Yeah.
it might go into
Car rate,
family.
you're 20. It's in family now, guys. You've
Yeah,
owned
yeah,
it the
right.
whole
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
but I'm excited for it. I love the car. It's a good car.
And for another guest car on the list, we have the Driven to Cure DTC GTR. This one's a sentimental one. This one's a hard hitter. I knew Andrew personally. He was a really cool guy. Was very particular about his cars. I can say that without a doubt. You know, for him, the word fast needed to have more than 500 horsepower, stuff like that. This thing was a monster. Crustless Media was involved with a lot of this. I know that. We saw this car everywhere for like 5, 6 years straight, but it was still one of the coolest vehicles that we've ever gotten to interact with, to ever see. I did get to do a little bit of a drive with him, not in the car, but like where we all caravan somewhere. This, for me, this has to go in family, not just because Andrew, but because of the car itself.
Yeah, I agree. I never met Andrew personally, but I've seen the car everywhere.
Didn't you get to
And
see this at Cars and Cigars with me though? Like, not
I've
for the
seen
first
I've
time,
seen
but the second time around? Because this is
yeah
from
I've
4.1. So
yeah
this
I've
is
seen
from a while ago.
yeah I've seen the car multiple times in person. But yeah, I have to agree. It's got to go into family. Andrew, again, I never met the guy in person, but just the message that he was, that him and his family
Yeah.
wanted to tell, the story that they wanted to tell with the car, and the fact that all the profits that they're getting are all going to charity. They're all going to cancer research.
And they've
Um,
actually had success stories now too, even though Andrew's long passed away and now Bruce has also unfortunately passed away within the last, I think, 2 years. Their mission is still working. Like they've already helped a kid get a cure for their cancer that they were a part of. I think it was endocrine system stuff. I don't remember
yeah,
offhand. Kidney cancer.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
this is
It's
definitely
it's
family.
it's a family car. It's one thing to to talk about the message and to um, it's another thing to actually be involved with it
To
and
live
do
it.
it and live it. And Andrew, obviously, again, from what I've heard, he's just so positive with everything. And yeah, the car is such a testament to who he is, to who his family is, and to the message. So
And his
I always
passion.
wish them. I wish them a best of luck with continuing to raise funds because, yeah, it's great. It's beautiful.
And last but certainly not least, the flagship of the channel up until John C. 43. Raikkonen. What can't we say? This was the dream car since I was 10 years old. I owned it for almost 8 years, and $100,000 later, I'm not ashamed to admit that. Every penny was absolutely well spent. This is a car with incredible heritage for us, and I mean, John, you tell you. I've always told my side of this. John, you tell us your side of this.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even really know what an Evo was until he bought the car. I was
There
like,
you go.
this dude's buying a Mitsubishi. Like in my
I
that's
got
in
so
my
much flack for
brain.
that too.
In my brain, that's what I was thinking. But at the same time, I was like, if this is something that he thinks is cool and he's wanted it since he was a kid, there's a reason that
Yeah.
it's really cool. And then the fact that he also told me that these cars are like they have a huge following, a lot of people love them. Like, okay, there's definitely something about these that people really like. And
And
every
correct me if I'm wrong. Because I bought this in 2017. How old were you when I got this? Were you 13?
2017, I
It was
thought you were.
2003.
I was still living in Virginia. I thought when you bought it.
Yeah, yeah, yes, because I
I
picked you
moved
up from school.
because I moved up, I believe, in June of 16.
I'd have to double
Um,
check that. I'd have to double check because the channel started in 16 and I got this a year later. Um, and I know I definitely picked you up from school in it at least once or twice once it was finally legal because that
yeah,
was a whole
maybe,
battle.
yeah. I've lived here for seven years in 24. So if you do the math,
So
uh,
I got this right before you left, basically.
right before I left, yeah.
Okay.
But I've done everything from sitting in the back to sitting in the front to driving it to helping him work on it to helping him
Driving it
detail it and wash it.
when it was built, like
Driving it
full
when it was,
powered.
I never drove it stock. But when it was built, I remember I was granny shifting it a lot, and then once we hit on the highway, I put my foot
Don't
down, and
shift.
yeah, I put my foot down on the highway, and this
You
car
understood.
genuinely like if the Mighty Max humbled me in my shifting ability, this car just genuinely scared me while driving it, and in a good way. Um,
Yeah. A lot of people that the people that small list that did get to drive this all said the same thing. They're like, this car terrifies me
yeah.
because it, whatever you're trying to do, it's like, let's go. Let's do this. Like
It's
it
such
was
a raw
just,
car, and I love it because it was such a raw car.
I think the
Um,
best descriptor for this thing is gung ho.
gung ho. Yeah, yeah,
If you want to
that's
do it,
perfect for
it's
it.
gonna do it. Like, okay, yes, and right? Like it just,
Literally, it was such a cool car. It was the flagship car of the channel. Even to this day, even though I've kind of had the couple more recent flagship cars with the Supra and the C43. I will always consider this to be the flagship car because
it's such a benchmark too.
it's what this is what was on the channel the most out of feel like out of any of the cars that we've had. And on top of that,
Possible.
I know it's built you relationships because of it.
Yeah.
Um, there's
Quite
this car
literally,
has such a story.
I'm gonna
It's
put
so
it out
great.
there. Quite literally, because of this car, every single guest car that we showcased today were guest cars. Like I made friends for this channel and everything else because of this car. We would have never gone to Cars and Cigars without it. We would have not met some of the people we did at Katie's without it. Brad, the guy that owned the green car and also had the Killionaire Laurel before me, I would have never met him had it not been for me driving the Evo in the neighborhood and him physically walking the 3 blocks over to go, "What's this?"
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah,
like so many good relationships were forged because of this car. I, to this day, still say that I'm gonna try and buy it back. Um, I, my problem is I'm scared that if I bought Rika back, it would not be the same. It would just be my memory of it that I want to buy back and not what it's become. Because it now makes well over 700-800 horsepower on gasoline. Um, it
yeah,
is stupid fast to the level of the guy that owns it now. He lives in upstate New York. Um, he actually asked the guy that bought it from me to detune it because he was so scared of it.
Yeah.
Even Bill, I have it on record. Even Bill was terrified of this car. Boosted Bill and the guy, ironically, also named Bill, who
Also named Bill.
walked from
Yeah.
me. Um, Boosted Bill, for him, this car was straight at therapy because he got to drive it in its stage three format. Um, and he hadn't had Foxy in like 3 years at that point, and I had it back and was like, let's go for a ride. So linked up, and that's what we did. This is the car that really got it all going for us. So I think without question, this is a family.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree 100%. It's a
If we
family car.
if we were to whittle down family at all, like to like move characters around here on screen, I would argue that if we only had to, we're allowed to keep like five vehicles up there. Um, I think it would be the Type R, the Supra, the Pajero, the Stretchro, and the Evo for sure. Um, because those we had such sentimental bonds, and they were well put together. Like, you know, I don't think anyone would disagree with our choices there. If we had a category between family and tuna no crust, John, what would you call it?
Between family and tuna no crust. Um, I don't know what we would call it. I think like I mean I'm trying to think of references and stuff like that.
Because they all have to
Probably
be, you know.
probably like a quarter mile at a time or something like that.
Oh, that's good.
Um,
I didn't even think of that.
something like that, something
Oh, that's
cheesy like
good.
that. Um,
I
you know,
think if we were to give a quarter mile at a time, I think like if we had to have a dedicated list for quarter mile, I don't know.
I
I
feel like quarter mile could also take be ahead of family because the way the reference is used is you live your life a quarter mile at a
that is
time,
true.
and
And
it's like those like and when he used that term, it was those really specific
yeah,
cars that really made it what it was. So I feel
yeah,
like cars like that would you probably throw the Supra, the Evo in there. Um, the cars that were just like those were our cars. Absolutely loved it.
yeah. I
Type
think
of
if we were to
deal.
do that, it would be Supra, Evo, and I think we both agree the Stretchro, just because of how
I agree. I agree with
funny
the
that
Stretcho.
was.
Yeah, it was a good thing. And yeah, there's so many other people that I feel like I could think of that weren't necessarily mentioned. People
There
like
were.
what was it? Joe with his silver Evo 10. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I didn't have any. I couldn't find my photos for that. We did showcase it on a couple of episodes. He was in the background a lot
yeah,
too.
he was a super chill dude. I love the guy.
That would definitely
He
be in tuna no crust.
Yeah, he made me want an Evo 10 even more when
That's true.
after I got to ride in it and everything. Even with, I mean, another person I was thinking of really quick was also Gabby Subaru.
Yeah, I wanted to
That
put a
was
lot of
another
her
one I was
cars on
thinking of.
this. The Subaru, the E46. I would have definitely put the E46 in. Probably We Hungry Subaru. I know too much about that car. That's a too soon junior. Um, but her current Corvette drift build would be tuna no crust for sure. Um, we didn't, again, those are her cars on her own channel and whatnot. If I were to bring that into this list, for sure, I would have put those in those different slots. Who else do you think we could have added in? Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot. La Fonda. It was my DZR1 Messiah's car. It was
Oh yeah, yeah,
we were
yeah,
the trifecta. It was Boosted Bill, myself, and DZR1 Messiah. I think he goes by the name D's Rides now. I haven't seen
yeah.
him in a long time because he moved to like the far
Um,
side of Maryland. But yeah,
oh,
no, that that car probably being tuna no crust as well. La Fonda was really cool.
what's his name? The other Evo X, Kai.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot about him.
He's
Yeah,
a friend of the channel. Yeah, we had there were so many
it just goes to
there
show
so many
how
cars.
wide our reach was being here in Northern Virginia and a little bit of Ohio. Um,
Yeah.
because there's so many other cars we could have brought on here, but for the sake of time, there's just no way we could have done it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have a lot of friends of mine that I meet up with, and there's a lot of cars that I've gotten to know from personal connections out here in Columbus, and they definitely, you know, obviously Nick hasn't met them, he hasn't really seen them. I've taken multiple photos of them, but they would definitely have a place on the list somewhere if they were on the channel. And
but I
again, it
think,
just goes to show, like Nick was saying, that
yeah,
the reach that Car Rant's able to have, and I think more so also it's just this is what it's all about at the end of the day: the
community.
community, the
Yep.
people. It's a lot of my friends a lot of my friends I made up here are car people. They
Yeah.
own everything from slammed TSXs to AMG GTs and things like that. And it just goes to show we all just have a mutual respect for each other. We have a respect for what we do, for the cars we drive, and there's always a positive to find in the community. I know there's a couple of negatives here and there, but at the end of the day,
Uh,
it's all about the community. It's all about making friends and really just staying positive throughout everything.
well, my friends, this is our official list. Uh, the tuna no crust and we hungry categories really owned it because you gotta remember there's two of the same car in here because I messed up. I'm sorry, I'm new at this, but man, what a legacy! 9 years on the platform has been reduced down to a tier maker list. But all that said, I'm really happy with where this landed. Thank you guys for watching and tuning into this podcast. If you have no idea what we're talking about, guess what? We have an entire channel with 9 years of content you can go check out. Link will be in the description and also at the end of this video. Um, as far as anything else going on with the channel, anything coming up for you like here in the near future, John?
Not that I'm aware of. I am working on a couple of projects for the main channel. We're going to be diving into some consumer guides for the future, as well as diving into some more motorsport content. IndyCar is going to be starting up here soon. Formula One is going to be starting up here in the next couple of months, and there's a lot to talk about with that. Just the fact of Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari alone is enough to talk about. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to be working on some motorsport content and as well as some consumer guides and some more consumer focused videos. And I don't know what Nick's working on, but I'm sure that whatever it is going to be good. I'm super excited to see what's going to happen in the channel in 2025.
I also will put it out there. We do have another podcast coming up in the near future with the dad, as in my dad, John's dad.
Our dad. This
We
is news.
are going to be talking about the state of V8s, because it's something that he, obviously being a musclehead for his entire life, has great thoughts and opinions on, and we wanted to do our own discussion about different engines and whatnot in the past. So stay tuned for that. We're going to try and figure out when we're going to film that, but it's going to be myself and my dad. Um, and then, yeah, as far as anything build related, we are going to get started on the scooter projects here very shortly. I will be doing a video stripping down Little Red to basically nothing so we can get the chassis prepped for a two-stroke swap. So stay tuned for that. And otherwise, thank you guys for being here. Please hit the subscribe button if you want to keep up with us. And we will see you guys on another episode. God bless y'all and peace.